Welcome all Dollhouse. This is episode 5 of season 2. Very excited to see what's going to happen next with this season. The last episode was fantastic. Really loved it. It was nice to finally get a lot of backstory on Sierra and kind of advancement there, and particularly with Topher's character arc as well as Sierra's. Made some really great stuff. And I'm very intrigued to see how they're going to continue with this season and what stories they can tell next, because, you know, they always find ways to make this whole concept of the Dollhouse even darker than I could ever think possible. So I'm sure that will continue for the rest of the season. But yeah, really excited to see what's going to happen next. So let's get into the next one.
Remind me why I love you so much.
I'm your white knight.
And I'm your beautiful damsel.
Ever after.
Ever after the press conference.
I have a witness who lost 3 years of her life to the Dollhouse.
Oh.
She would like to make a brief statement.
Oh shit.
Remind me why you released her from her contract 2 years early.
It was an internal matter.
Right. Something to do with keeping you from exposing this house to the public. Well, that worked out.
I inquired how he wanted us to proceed, and given the context, I would call his response a suggestion.
You framed it before he could tell you what to do.
To discover what game is being played.
Chess?
November is sad.
She's perfect. It's like they made her just for me.
Oh boy.
Any sympathy for Mr. Hearn would be misplaced. He was a serial rapist.
I wasn't thinking about him.
Very bizarre connection that those two had, really.
You can never tell what monsters people are hiding inside.
For the rest of my life, I'm going to know that I killed someone.
You didn't do this.
Treatment?
Dollhouse did.
I'm glad they brought Madeline back into it though, because I always liked her. I was scared she was just done.
Remind me why I love you so much.
I'm your white knight.
And I'm your beautiful damsel.
Ever after.
Is that kind of like the
What is it?
do you trust me with my life kind of thing, but for those two?
Hello, Kilo.
Is it time for my treatment?
She's so cute and tiny. I
Marissa!
love when a doll's name is so on the nose. The gentle hum lets you know it's working. Side effects include headache, bloody nose,
Jesus.
and the uncontrollable urge to... It'll knock out any doll in a 10-foot radius, including a pesky sleeper like Cindy, without actually harming real people like us.
Uh-oh.
Make that a 50-foot radius.
Oh, shit.
Good. Why would she still have your architecture in her head?
Uh-oh.
No one ever really leaves here, do they?
No one's gone till they're gone.
Handler's not going to be too happy when he learns you sent her out without him.
Mr. Ballard's unhappy about a great many things at the moment. His complete focus needs
Always.
to be on Madeline's retrieval.
Are you sure you don't want me to cover her engagement?
I need you on point in operations. That'll be fine. Any qualified interim handler will do.
I'll send Edwards.
Fine.
Boyd has a soft spot for
Just
her as
tell him to
well.
nod off.
Wake up, Mr. Senator.
Oh.
I want to
Oh,
make
shit.
sure I get your good side. Oh, you forgot me
It's
already.
Wesley and
I'm
Faith.
hurt. I'm
That's kind of cool.
I don't know you. I've never seen you in my life.
Well, that's not
I
true.
hate to disagree with you.
You're a doll.
Thanks, you're cute too.
I just want to do what's right.
Senator, no offense, but if you want to do the right thing, bringing your hooker mistress to your wife probably isn't a great idea. Just saying.
Cindy knows the top neurologists in the country.
Listen to me.
Hello
Listen
again.
to me. These people are not who you think they are. Do you trust me? Good. We have to get out of here.
Well, that went well.
You're not at all.
Oh, shit.
that?
Shit, he's one. I thought that Remind Me Why You Love Me thing. I thought it was weird that she started that, because it seemed to be like
It's Echo.
programming or something.
Is she anywhere near Ballard?
Shit.
Echo just kidnapped the conspiracy.
Oh. Uh-oh. It's all coming back, it's all coming back to me now.
DeWitt had explicit instructions to leave this alone.
I think it was more of a suggestion.
Yeah.
Wait until I leave, then make sure he ends up face down in the LA River. I'm gonna go find Perrin, meet you at the airport. Do not miss the flight.
I think he's gonna miss the flight. Oh no, now he's seeing things.
Oh, God.
That would be horrible, like realising that.
Like me.
I know who I am. I know who I am.
I'm Batman.
He's a doll version of himself. His family's political dynasty goes back generations.
He was selected for his pedigree.
But his ambition, somebody else gave that to him.
Oh. That's a very interesting idea.
DeWitt,
Imprinting yourself on yourself. Yeah. Oh.
if I wanted to kill you, you'd be dead already.
Hey, you don't want me dead. Wow, I feel like...
Let's discuss bonding, shall we? Let's
Uh-oh.
discuss your wife.
I never saw her. Let's just go.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just go.
Get away from me. Sin, I don't know what's happening to me.
It's okay, baby. It's
Oh,
okay.
he wants to
We'll
fixate
figure
on
it
his
out.
real life instead.
Remind me why I love you so much.
Yeah, this is the twisted thing.
Ever after.
Ever after.
Ah.
Is that it?
Yep.
Oh, God. You weren't shooting me. You were my handler.
That's true. But I'm not hers.
Shit. I smell a divorce.
You won't shoot.
You wouldn't. You couldn't. Not you beautiful damsel. You love me.
It'd be beautiful if he caves in your head.
Good. That's it. Put it down. Now we have to go.
Oh! There we go. That's cool, she's using like moves she's used before.
You're a bitch.
Oh.
She hit me, Daniel.
Sorry about that. Come on. I think I know you can get some help.
You want to take me to them? They're all
They really should probably just stop using Echo at this point, because it always goes wrong.
That was the fantasy? I was your girl Friday, who you slept with the other 6 days of the week?
It wasn't a fantasy. I was FBI, and I didn't know Melly
Yeah,
was a
he didn't
doll.
know,
The
yeah.
Dollhouse tricked me too. Melly, if you do this, it would be a mistake.
I'm not Melly.
I know that.
I don't know if he does.
You said you freed me.
You still need to let her go.
When someone's free, they get to make mistakes.
Oh dear. This bitch.
Call Mr. Ballard before you return to the house. Perhaps he had more luck with Madeline.
Not the best day on the job for everyone.
So what do we do?
Stop them.
How? That's a cool little keyboard.
How's until the senator gets here?
They said any minute.
Athena's diagnostic can on the runway. Daniel Perrin's our bright star. Do we have any information about the other active, the women?
Is this another dollhouse then?
It'd be useful to scan her, see if we can.
So, quite a few, aren't there?
Parameters.
I can help you with the second act.
I have to focus, please. Thank you. I need this to focus on this. Thank you. I know this hand. This is Topher Brink. Always wanted to meet his tech.
Don't
I like the idea of them,
drop every
like,
doll in the house.
people who work in different dollhouses having like reputations amongst them all.
It's my mind.
Not for some time now.
Oh, God.
Oh boy.
Who are you? This is sick. You're sick.
Who's to say?
Caroline,
Oh.
you always promised you'd come back to me.
Oh.
Let's play.
Oh my. Oh. Okay. Really good episode overall. Very, very solid. And it was a big kind of plot heavy episode as well, like advancing a lot of like big things and revelations about all the different dollhouses, and it seems like the kind of world building a bit as well, introducing like another dollhouse we haven't seen before. And Sam McGlow works there, so it's an excellent dollhouse. Actually, no, there's probably no such thing as an excellent dollhouse because I don't agree with what they do, but you know what I mean. It's a really interesting addition. I feel like the world has been like expanded quite significantly here. So we had like this centre guy who we've seen a couple of times before. Wesley Wyndham Price. What's his name in this? Daniel, I think his name is in this. And yeah, we had this guy who seemed to be quite outside the dollhouse and like going against it for a while, and it turns out he actually like is a doll himself, and a doll of himself, which I think is a very interesting idea. Like that tweak like little aspects of your personality and then re-imprint yourself like a new version of you. That's really, really fascinating. I think that's a really interesting kind of concept. I liked the twist of them thinking, oh, the wife's going to be the doll, but it's actually him. I had my suspicions. I wouldn't say I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely a doll. I wouldn't have been like that. But when they did the whole, in the very first scene, it was like, oh, tell me why you love me or something like that. Remind me why I love you or something like that. And I was like, oh god, that's a bit cheesy and weird. But then they did it again later on in the episode. And it's like, oh, maybe that's kind of their like, do you trust me with my life kind of thing that the actives and the other people do. Then I was like, oh, maybe. But she started that. She's like, remind me why I love you. I was like, well, if she started it, that would be kind of weird if she was the doll. And I was kind of putting the pieces together then, but I didn't quite be like, yeah, definitely it's the other way around to what they think. So that was a really cool reveal. I liked how they did it. And then they just showed kind of Echo reacting to that device thing, and then they panned to him a bit later on and he was already bleeding. That was really cool. So I love the twist with that, and that does set up some cool stuff, I think, because this felt like very much almost like part one of a story, which is kind of cool because, with Dollhouse, I'm kind of very used to singular kind of episodes that can sometimes build into larger arcs. Seeing the last episode was kind of quite arc heavy in that sense. It was still kind of very much focused on Sierra's story, and it kind of felt closed and rounded off at the end. So I like that this seems to be like an ongoing kind of continuous story, given that kind of ending there with Bennett and Echo knowing she was Caroline, saying, you said you'd come back to me or something. So there's a history there that I'm sure they'll explore, which is kind of interesting. I like that, and where that ending left off, not in the most pleasant of ways. So I will see where they go with that. And obviously Daniel being there as well, which is very intriguing. I hope we kind of spend a lot more time in that at the Dollhouse, because we knew there were like more than one than just the one we've kind of been focusing into now. So it was really cool to see more of them. I really liked how they kind of world build a lot in this episode, and just the idea of this guy's kind of going after the Dollhouse is actually a doll himself, so it kind of puts him within it in a weird, twisted sense. And season 1, Ballard was trying to track down the Dollhouse and exposing everything. Now he works for them, so that's kind of cool how those two characters who've kind of been attacking the Dollhouse like part of it. And even Madeline now is kind of joining that fight against it, but she used to be part of it. And kind of what Tofu, was it Tofu who was saying it? No, it was Ballard. When it turned out she still had like all the wiring and active kind of wiring in her. And Ballard was kind of saying, she never, no one ever really leaves the Dollhouse, do they? So she's still kind of part of it, but she's fighting against it as well. So that's kind of interesting, just what ties the Dollhouse has to people. So I thought that was all really, really cool. And yeah, some characters, didn't have as much to do. Like, I feel like Topher and Boyd kind of were more so in the background, but they did have quite larger roles in the last episode, so I don't really mind. And they still had some good stuff, because Topher did a lot of like exposition dumping, but he made it sound interesting, which I think is very hard to do. So kudos to the actor for that. And they did have a few glimpses where Boyd was still very interested in kind of looking after Echo and keeping tabs on her, because they could let Echo kind of get on with her mission on her own, really. And Boyd seemed kind of like, oh, maybe I should watch over if Ballard's doing something else. So I like that there's still very much that bond and connection between them, because Boyd does have that fondness for Echo after season 1, because they spent a lot of time together there, because he was her handler for all of season 1, I think. So that was all really cool. And they talked a lot in this episode about the people who work at the Dollhouse getting like growing attachments for certain dolls. Adele kind of having some soft spots for a couple of them as well, and they showed that with Boyd, and Ballard kind of had that with Madeline, who used to be, you know, Melly to him. So that was great that they brought Madeline back into it, because I really like the character and the actress, so it's cool that we could see her again in this kind of capacity. And I love the scene between her and Ballard outside the airport. So it does kind of seem like Ballard could set her free at the end of season 1. He set her free, but I don't think he really let her go. And I think that was kind of what they were getting at with that scene between them at the airport there. She kind of posed it to him, you know, am I really free? Because if you keep doing this and coming after me, trying to change my mind about what I want to do, am I really free? And then he let her go, which I think is very symbolic of him kind of losing that connection. Because a lot in this episode he kept calling her Melly as well, which is not who she really is, and that's not who she is anymore. So I really enjoyed the kind of relationship with those two in this one, and it really felt like Ballard stepping away, letting her go, letting her be her own person, because he's kind of, I wouldn't say pining, because I think he liked her. I don't know if he was like overly in love with her, but they did have a kind of connection, and he was kind of, I guess, more so loyal to a woman who's no longer around and never really was real. So I like that kind of story with those two, and him kind of letting her go and do her own thing, making her own mistakes if they are mistakes to make. And we just saw a lot of people who work at the Dollhouse kind of not do their jobs in the best way in this episode, which is again why it feels like more of a 2-part story or multi-part story they could be kicking off here. Because, you know, the thing with Daniel and everything hasn't tied up in a neat bow, and that ending clearly means there's going to be more there with Bennett, who I'm very intrigued by. I'm looking forward to finding out a bit more about her, mainly because it's Summer Glau, I won't lie, but it's cool to see her show up and to have like Wesley and Faith, the actors, interacting again. That was really cool. And then bringing in a Firefly alum into this as well. Lots of kind of big Buffyverse and Whedon actors in this one, so that was cool. So yeah, very intrigued by her and the other Dollhouse and her connection to Caroline and where that's going to go. Some very interesting stuff there. Hopefully we can kind of get to see her really interact with more of the main cast in the way they had Daniel interact with some main cast in this one. So yeah, that was all cool. And then we saw a lot more of Cindy obviously in this episode, and see the handler side of her and the truth about her kind of come out. So that was another little twist I wasn't really expecting, that she'd be like a handler to a doll. Really cool stuff there, and again I think there's kind of more to that story given how things have left off with this episode, so very excited to see a bit more of that. And with Dollhouse, I never know how they're going to resolve all these issues, because sometimes, you know, they aren't truly resolved and we have to make peace with that because that's the way life is. So who knows where they could be going with all this, and you know, we're not even at the halfway point of the season yet really, so I love how much things escalate in this one, and just the kind of complexity behind the Dollhouse and Rossum and everything, and do they want people to actually come after them? Is that, you know, going to play to their strengths? And having like Daniel on their side as the senator, really, really interesting stuff, and I like them exploring how crafty Rossum can be, and yet we barely kind of see any figureheads from Rossum most of the time, which is kind of cool, and when we do, they're smarmy arseholes. So yeah, that was all great. And what else? Guess again we got a bit more of Echo in like a different role, but at the start she could tell, like, oh, November's sad. I liked that. Just continuing that little thread of her knowing there's kind of more to this and kind of wanting to start a revolution and stuff. and she went along with, you know, being programmed to be someone else because Boyd assured her it would be helpful to their own mission, which is really cool. So I like all of that. I'm hoping we get some Echo, Boyd and Ballard kind of trio scenes soon, because they seem to all be like fighting for the same cause now, which would be really cool to see. But obviously things have been a bit crazy at the minute, so there isn't really time to focus on their main goal right now because of the whole Daniel situation escalating. So yeah, everything was really, really cool in this one. And seeing more layers to Adele, where she's kind of open to having soft spots about some certain actives, and her kind of saying when that guy seemingly gave her orders, she kind of twisted it to be like, oh, it was a suggestion that we might do nothing. So I like that over time you've kind of seen that she really does have quite a big heart in there, in a certain way, because obviously what she's doing and what the Dollhouse stands for isn't great and very ethical. And yeah, it's kind of twisted that you find yourself rooting for them to succeed and not get found out or exposed, even though what they're doing is kind of despicable. So yeah, it was cool seeing a few more layers of her as well. But overall, just a really, really fantastic episode. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait to see where they're going to go with the rest of this plot, given how that ended, and the world building of the episode I thought was great. I loved the twist with Daniel and his wife. Yeah, some of the Boyd and Echo stuff was nice, and particularly the Madeline and Ballard scenes and their kind of story in this episode I thought was really, really strong. And I also loved Marissa showing up. I think she's kind of like a producer and writer on this show, and obviously she does Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff as well. And then she appeared in season 6 of that. So it's kind of cool that she appeared in the show she's working on like this, and she was in Dr. Horrible as well. So that was really cool. Nice little thing seeing her pop up. And I also really liked when Echo kind of got more of a sense of herself again and realised that she was an active in the doll. She was like fighting Cindy using the moves that she'd already used in previous like assignments. I thought, my voice. I thought that was really clever, and I liked the editing in that scene. Maybe a bit too much of it, going back and forth between all these different poses. We got what they were going for. She's using fighting skills that she'd used before. Maybe they did a bit too much of the chopping and changing, but I did kind of like what they were going for there. And it was cool to see like snippets of previous episodes and stuff. Just continuing to show how much is ingrained in these actives that they don't even know about, until it's kind of useful for the Dollhouse. So that was really cool as well. I liked that little bit of editing and continuity. So that was really, really cool, and just a great episode overall. Very excited to see what's going to happen next. And yeah, until next reaction, thanks for watching.